What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Illustration Masterclass. Today we're going to be looking at a character designer, and as tradition on this channel, this guy's Japanese, and I have no idea how to pronounce his name. So I'm going to go ahead and butcher it for you, but you can see it in the title. It's Keita Amemiya, something like that. Not exactly sure. Anyways, so I've got just a few pieces here. It's going to be another quick video today, and so let's go ahead and let's jump right into it. I wasn't able to find a lot of high resolution stuff of this guy's work. If you're familiar with his work, please let me know what you think about his work or where to see more of it. Because most of the stuff I found was very low resolution, and so I didn't really want to have a bunch of low resolution clips on here. But this guy has some phenomenal design work, especially something like this. You know, I feel like this is probably from something that I should know what this property is, but I don't. I love this interplay that he does between the main character and then this kind of weird bondage-looking sidekick, something like that. It's very strange, very unique. You know, his stuff feels very much like an 80s, 90s kind of design aesthetic, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. Back when I felt like a lot of these guys had a very strong personal way of doing things, you know, and not everything looked the same. Like, I think sometimes illustrators can fall into the habit of making everything look the same now because we can all see each other's work online. This feels, you know, uniquely Japanese to me. So there's a couple of things that I noticed right off the bat, which is that, like a lot of the hero type stuff, this is very symmetrical. And I guess the reason why it is that the hero type work is always very symmetrical is because symmetry gives a sense of power and it gives a sense of order, right? So we can see that pretty much the costume on either side of him is essentially the same. He's got these different elements situated on his body, which are mostly circular, right? And like I've said before, you want to pick a design and base that design off of a particular shape. So you have all these circles that I'm drawing all over the place. We can see that one of the shapes that he decided to base this character design off of is these circle-like shapes. And once it is that you've kind of built this image around a particular shape, such as a circle or as a triangle or something along those lines, then you can add in contrasting elements like these triangle shapes on his helmet. You know, you could also say the scarf itself is a contrasting element to it, both in terms of color and in terms of a lot of different ways. Material, the way it looks. So it really gives some variety. Because what you want is you want to have unity with variety, right? So you have this this design that is kind of unified with all of these circle shapes that he puts in all these different areas, and that gives it a sense of cohesion. And then he has these elements like the triangles and the scarf that are, in the case of the scarf, it's asymmetrical, you know, and it's also very much a contrasting element. So are the triangles as well, right? So these give a lot of variety to it. I mean, you could imagine what it would be like if he didn't have either one of those. So let's take a look at another piece here. I love the way it is that the pants pop out here. You know, this feels very old school, like old military style. It's interesting to note as well is that both these sides don't line up. You know, the base of this curve ends up here, and this is more up. Right? So there's some unity with variety there, and we see that throughout the piece. You know, we see these elements of the circle again, and it kind of carries throughout the whole illustration. There's different circle elements, circles here. And then we have these contrasting elements, like these belts that are going over. And even though there's symmetry in this drawing, there's also asymmetry. Right? So he has these base circle shapes here in the center of the face, but then it becomes asymmetrical as it goes away from the center. Same thing on either side of the drawing itself. The shoulder pads are obviously different. The arms are different. What they're holding is different. This one's got a glove on it. This one does not. Right? The bottom part feels much more symmetrical, which makes a lot more sense because you don't really want people to look down at the legs. The legs are for the most part, pretty boring, right? Let's go ahead and jump to the next one. Another pretty symmetrical, pretty straightforward design. I don't really have much to say about this one that I haven't said about the other pieces here, but I do like the way that he designs his costumes. Like it has a uniquely Japanese vibe to it. This is kind of one of the low resolution images it is that I found. I don't think I have much to say about this because the resolution is so low. But this is kind of an example of just how creative his work can be. And I do have one more. This is the one that I was wanting to get to. Yeah, this one is an awesome piece. As usual, you can understand how well somebody knows design by how readable it is from a distance. Right? And the closer we get, the more we see here. So again, you can say that he's got this kind of triangle base. This triangle base is pointing us down. But again, we have like these circle shapes, and these circle shapes, they're kind of nested inside of other shapes. And they kind of give us this impression that they're almost like eyes that are growing out of the head. And it's interesting that he chose to have more triangular eyes and triangular shapes around the actual eyes of the woman, as opposed to circular shapes that are repeated throughout the piece. For example, on this head here, right? And then we have other triangular shapes, right? We have these triangular shapes of the feathers, the sword. So yeah, you could say that this is much more of a triangular-based drawing, whereas the other pieces were more circular, with a triangle as the contrasting element. It seems to have flipped it on this one. And there's way more triangular elements to it. And then the circles are just put there to kind of spice things up and make it interesting to look at. But yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see like what this guy's inspirations are. Is he inspired by Japanese mythology? Where does he draw his inspiration from? Because these all have this kind of old mythical kind of feel to them. I feel like this one could almost be a tattoo or something along those lines. But anyway, yeah, this was kind of a short one today. I'm going to have updates on my comic here pretty soon, as well as like some process videos and things like that that you guys can check out. In the meantime, thank you guys for watching. I hope you got something from this piece. If you want to leave me a comment of any other artists you'd like me to look at, feel free to drop in the link below or in the description box below. And thanks, guys. Take it easy.